Okay. Oh, look at this. Guess what? This is too loud. That's what. But it's time to dance, Mario. Let's do it. Show me your moves. Have you got some new moves? You got this I love this young man.
Thank you. We got some more sunshine. I'm still waking up. It's 5 a.m. out here.
Let's do the swim out of the
Swimming into the clouds.
You can count on me. I'll be right here, waiting for you.
We have to do a little light. We went to the Sister Hazel concert.
Lillian. To reach out to Lillian, visit her on the web at whenyouneedafriend.com. Now let's all learn together. Here's Lillian McDermott.
Hello, my listening friends. It's so nice we can meet each other on the air on this beautiful, best day ever. And if you've been tuning in and you're a fan of the Lillian McDermott radio show, welcome back. I've been so excited every time I get your text and hear about and how you're growing with me. And I am so grateful if this is the first time that you've stumbled upon the show, I've been waiting for you. Let me tell you that the purpose of the show is to provide a safe place where you can go to when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide alternative ways to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening, as well as my viewing friends, will feel empowered to embrace a new truth and live the life of your dreams. Now, today is 9/11. 911. And as you know, I talk about reframing everything. And I know there are times where we just need to allow pain to go in us and feel that pain, but we also need to allow it to go through us. And as we go through life, we can continue to relive that moment, or we can reframe it. So I want to encourage you to go to two websites. I've just found out about these websites. One of them is serve.gov, and the other one is 911day.org. This is a day where you reformat this day and say, I am going to do acts of kindness, an act of service. I'm going to help heal the community. Whatever it is, let's turn this day into collateral beauty. I've been talking about that movie. Instead of collateral damage, look at the beauty of the pain that we have gone through in life. So I want to encourage you to reach out. If you want to share with me what you're doing today, I'd love for you to share at 407-373-5959. Also wanted to let you know that the Heal Tribe, if you want to start healing your body, because it's about healing, isn't it? 911 is about healing. So if you want to join the Heal Tribe, tonight in the Space Coast, we are meeting. If you want to be a part of that and learn more, you can call me at 407-373-5959. Also, so that you know, for the First Coast, mark your calendars, because that's going to be September 19th. So this is where we grow together. And just like my journey, Mario Fabbri was exposed to a whole food, plant-based, vegan lifestyle. And that resonated in him like it resonated in me. And every cell within us, when something resonates in you, every cell within you goes, what? What's going on here? This could be a new truth. And unlike me, Mario grew up in a family of sausage makers, so it may have been a lot harder for him, although I faced a lot of ridicule when I chose to change my lifestyle, mind, body, and spirit. Now with Mario, he has a show on Roku called Trying Vegan with Mario. But here, Mario is back on the Lillian McDermott radio show to ask me questions, because this show is all about learning and growing, and he is in the beginning of his journey, whereas I am well on my way, but still considerable at the beginning of my journey, considered that there's other people that have been vegan, whole food, plant-based for many, many years. But since it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge, I am grateful that Mario Fabbri is back to do just that. Welcome, Mario, to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show.
Yes, good morning, Lillian. Thank you so much for having me back. I love the positivity and the energy. It's always such a good way to start the day, hearing your voice and hearing that music and getting the chance to talk about things that could really have, do a little dance and just to talk about things that could really have a huge impact on people's lives. And that's what we're here to talk about today. And that's what I'm here to dig out of you with your wealth of knowledge.
So did you bring your soul shovel?
I brought my soul shovel. Yes, I have a list of questions and I am taking over the Lillian McDermott show. This is the Mario Fabbri and Lillian McDermott show today. So I'm excited to collaborate with you. So one thing that I love to talk about is so I'm on this mission to learn from experts to help people eat healthier and live better lives on the inside and on the outside. As we all know, food is connected to our mood and connected to what drives us on a daily basis. It's the first thing, we think about when we wake up a lot of times. So let's kickstart our day off the right way. And one thing I want to ask from you is, so you are this expert at helping people figure out what their purpose is. Yes, you're an expert. You've got tons of experience. I've been listening to your show. You know what you're talking about. So I'm here to figure out from an expert like you, how can we foodies, how can we people who haven't been eating healthy our whole lives discover our purpose? So can you talk to me a little bit about purpose really quick?
That is exactly what we're going to talk about today. And we're going to continue our conversation. So I have no idea what Mario's going to ask me. We purposely don't have that information, but we're going to continue our conversation when we return worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. We'll be right here waiting for you.
Yes.
Good job.
We are off and running.
So yeah, isn't it about learning and growing together? That is exactly my mission. And that's how it started. When I was, I don't know if I told you this, Mario, but I, as a result of being let go from a company that hired me for my contacts,
mm-hmm.
There was a 90-day clause, and they were paying me 3 times my salary that I was making, plus potential 6-figure commission in the future. What I didn't know is that there was a 90-day sales cycle. And when I went to sign my contract, it said that in 90 days, they can let me go without cause. And I questioned it. I said, what is this all about? And they said, well, don't worry about it because you have such a great reputation. You're going to do a really good job for us, blah, 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 blah. So I signed it, but there was something in me that said, ugh, I signed it. They loved everything I was doing. And by the way, can you give me your contacts? Who's your leads? Who are you doing? What are you doing? You know where this is going, right?
Fishing, yeah.
Yeah. On the 60th day, the pressures were getting a little harder and harder. Where are you at? Where's the sales cycle? Let's now get involved in all your stuff. And on the 89th day, I get that call. We love what you're doing.
God.
We love what you're doing. However, we decided to end the position. Thank you so much for your service. And by the way, you signed a 2-year non-compete.
Oh. And this was early on in your professional career, right? This
was well, actually it was like I said, I am water. I've been exposed and hired and my job has it's increased, right? So I hung up the phone and I truly felt relief. I really did.
Really?
And I texted several of doctors that I was working with that I had the privilege that I would have never been able to walk through their door had I not had this opportunity. And I texted the first one, number 1 neurosurgeon, and I told him it's been a pleasure working with you, but I'm no longer working with this company. The reply back was, I don't care what you do.
You can text Lillian McDermott or leave her a voice.
And I'll be your first client.
407.
Wow. All right. There we go. We need to turn it around.
Here's Lillian.
Welcome back to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show, where I am shifting gears today. Mario Fabbri is back, and he is trying vegan. This is a show that you can find on Roku. Of course, I am helping him increase his viewership, right, Mario?
Thank you. Thank you.
And I am going to be on his show. I'm really excited about that. I'm just
Yes.
declaring it right now, whether it's real or not. I'm just declaring it. And so Mario wants to ask me some questions, and I have no clue what he is going to ask me. So,
yes, I am
the floor
here
is
to
yours,
take
my
over the
dear.
show.
You are taking over.
And yes, so thank you so much for joining me on the Mario Fabbri and Lillian McDermott show. And so,
He is also manifesting, by the way.
yes, I am. So one of the hardest things that I've found with people that I talk to who are trying to eat healthier is they know it's better for them, but they seem to be lacking that extra drive, that extra oomph. And some of that I think comes down to purpose. So I was wondering if you could give some advice through your experience of helping people either find their purpose or direct their purpose or all this talk about purpose. What advice can you give to somebody who maybe wants to make a change in their life, but is lacking that one little extra like oomph and push? Like, how do you find that?
I love this question, Mario. I have a feeling I'm going to love all your questions. So here's what I discovered, that when people look at what they're giving up, that is a very hard sell. It's a very hard transition. What? I've got to give up meat? What? I've got to give up sugar, oils? What? I got to give up this and that. When you look at changing your lifestyle with lack-mindedness, then it is very difficult. But when you make a little shift and you say, what am I embracing? I am embracing good health. I am embracing youth. I am reversing disease. What am I embracing? My purpose is to, as I've told you, I am over 50 years old and I have children and grandchildren. I have children that are older than you, Mario. And what I am embracing is I want my next 50 years to be healthier than my first. And I am doing everything and willing to do anything. And there's that song, you're too young for Meatloaf. Do you remember Meatloaf, the musician? The one that sang, maybe you'll remember the song, I would do anything for. Okay, that's the
But
song.
I won't do that.
But I won't do that. So I would do anything for health, but I won't give up meat. I would do anything to save my marriage, but I won't go to counseling. I would do anything to look young, but I won't do whatever it takes to feel young. You know, I was telling you off the air that I've just recently gone through a little bit of a crisis. And the thing that I did is, like, when you start going down the path of everything that can go wrong, you can really get stuck there. And first it's the thought, Mario, then it's the feeling. Then that feeling converts into an action. So if I feel sad about whatever is happening, and then I'll start going down that path of those thoughts. Everything begins with a thought. Yeah. So we need to nip it. And just recently I was driving my car and I said, darn it, I want to feel good. So I put on the song Happy. And as I'm just like singing and dancing with the song Happy, all of a sudden tears started swelling in my eyes because I can feel happy in any circumstance. So I would say my purpose is of abundance. What am I bringing into my life? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh, 1,000,000%. So it's really focusing on the positive. What are you adding? What is the value? So for people who are trying to eat healthier food, they're adding more energy. They're waking up in the morning and getting a more productive workout to start their day.
Sure.
You know, they're staying up later and working on that book that they never found the energy to get to. So it's adding that. What benefit am I going to get out of this, instead of, oh, I'm going to be missing out on a late night fried food, you know, I'm going to be missing out on, you know, chicken wings on Sundays, watching football with my friends, you know, what am I going to be giving up on? So I think taking that positive shift is huge. And you talked a little bit about your thought process, and we have negative thoughts. You throw on happy and you're already, you're able to transition into this happy mood.
Yes.
For me, I face a lot of negative thoughts that are running through my mind on a regular basis. I think we all are. And one tool that I've discovered that helps me a ton managing some of these negative thoughts is to notice when you're having a negative thought And then especially notice when you're having that same negative thought a second time, and then a third time, and then a fourth time, because you get into these cycles and these patterns where you keep thinking about the negotiation that you have later and all the bad things that are going to happen. And you keep replaying this. So what I like to do is, once I have a negative thought, once I have that thought again a second time, I say, hey, I already had that thought. It's not
you acknowledge the thought, right?
Acknowledge. Yeah, it's nothing new is going to change. The circumstance hasn't changed at all. So I need to recognize that thought and let it go. I already had that thought, goodbye thought, just move on past. Yeah. So that's a tool that I've had. And I'm wondering, even to add to this, are there any other tools that you would recommend for somebody who is looking for their purpose? So maybe straying away from that thought of positivity, negativity, but getting back to purpose.
Absolutely. Well, just recently, I learned about a young man, and I'm trying to think of his last name. But his first name is Tim. I believe his first name is Tim. And he has those negative thoughts constantly going through his mind. And actually, it's analysis paralysis for him. And so he came up, and I don't know if he came up with this or if he learned it and he's incorporated it into his daily life. I'm still learning more about it. But it's called fear setting. Instead of goal setting, it's fear setting. Isn't that clever?
Yeah.
And so he takes his top fears that keep reoccurring and he writes them down on paper. And then he thinks of he writes down the fear, what's the worst thing that could happen, and then how to combat that. Steps and how to, like, if it does happen, what are things I can do to make it better? And so he's taken all his fears and he's put them down. But that's, someone who has reoccurring fears and they're paralyzed by their fears. Put them down, acknowledge them. There's nothing wrong with having a feeling. Feelings are just feelings. What we do with these feelings are crucial, Mario, crucial. Because if those feelings, those thoughts convert into a feeling, and then that feeling drives your life, you will never achieve success because you're only thinking about what could go wrong. Why even bother? But once you think about the equal opportunity, this is me talking, not just recounting what the fear setting is all about. But for me, when I find myself going down the what could go wrong train, I say, okay, now that I've given that time, now it's time to give the what could go right movement. This is where I want to go. This is what I want. So I can focus on what I don't want. And if you focus on what you don't want, you get more of what you don't want. But if you focus on what you want and you go and gravitate to what could go right, now what choices are available? How can I rewrite my fear?
Yeah, I love that, being able to.
I love your face. You guys got to go to YouTube and watch Mario as I'm talking. He's like, and this is the childlike wonder that I talk about. The childlike wonder that we all should possess. Be curious, not critical. And I see that in you, Mario, and I just want to acknowledge you.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I heard something the other day that the average, I think 4-year-old asks 200 questions a day. But then we keep getting told, stop asking certain questions, and eventually our curiosity kind of runs out. So one of the keys to life is to be able to hold on to that curious from a young age and figure out a way to, if you've lost it, figure out a way to bring it back. Read an old kid's book and you might be inspired a little bit to do so.
Yeah, or listen to the song Happy. I mean, that right there. When I'm crying tears with the song Happy, that means, I really had to do some shifting. And it is so important that we acknowledge our feelings, because if we don't acknowledge our feelings, Mario, how are we going to shift? How are we going to say, okay, I identified that I had that. I don't know if you know the statistic, but Dr. Bruce Lipton, who wrote The Biology of Belief, has been on my show twice. And he is amazing. He's the one that started epigenetics, if you've heard of epigenetics.
Yeah.
So he basically said that, oh boy, and I just went down that train that was talking about epigenetics. You can change just about everything in your life. 90% of everything you think, 90% is a reoccurring thought. 90% of your day. You have 70,000 thoughts a day, approximately. For me,
Wow.
probably 100,000. But
Wow.
for the average person, it could be less than 70, but 70,000 thoughts a day. Of those thoughts, 90% are reoccurring. And of those thoughts, 80% are negative.
Wow. So
What does that tell you?
I think we are living in some sort of a fear. Maybe it's a defense mechanism, and maybe it's something that is, protecting us. But I guess on the note of fear, is there something? So Lillian, you host this show. You do an amazing job of bringing out the best in people. And I'm wondering, is there a fear that somebody might not expect is something that you face on a regular basis, or what is something that maybe you've been uncertain about that ended up being a super positive thing?
Well, I was sharing with you, and maybe I continue the story of how I started my business. And how I started my business led to me being on the show, being interviewed on the radio for 30 minutes. And when I was done with that interview, because I created a campaign, and someone said, hey, you should go on the radio to talk about this campaign. And then the owner of the station was the one that interviewed me. And after the interview, he came to me and he said, wow, how long have you been doing radio? And I looked at my watch and I went, 30 minutes. So, that was something that started from a devastation. It could have ended my career.
Yeah.
But it turned out to be a blessing. And so with me, when I think of the things that are going through life, and I actually write about this, and I'm going to be talking about it tomorrow on tomorrow's show, my next Florida Today article, which should be on whenyouneedafriend.com today, sometime today, and it'll be published on Thursday in the newspaper. And basically, the question is not, why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to me? It's, why did this happen for me? Why? What is this here? Because I know that this is for my good. It's for my greater good. It's for the greater good of everyone. It's in Romans 8. God,
Wow.
yeah, it's in Romans 8. Things work out for the good of all who love him, of all who love God. And I'm not saying that if you don't love God, and you love the universe, or you love Allah, or you love Muhammad, or you, whatever it is, that is your source, your creator source, that if you believe those words, you know that anything that happens to you, Mario, will be for the greater good. It happened for me, to give me, to teach me, so that I can use this to give back to someone who's at the beginning of their journey. And that's why I am so attached to you in your journey, because we have the same journey, Mario, don't we?
Yeah, no, I think so much. You even mentioned something happened and you end up on the radio.
Yeah. But
Fear
we're
led
gonna,
me to where I'm at today as well.
yes, exactly. So let's continue this conversation off the air. When we come back, we'll continue our conversation with Mario Fabbri at whenyouneedafriend.com. We'll be right here waiting for you.
Yes.
Hard outs, my dear. I'm like, okay, how do I do this? How do I do this? No, so but basically,
I'm learning.
no, that's great. That's great. So, that is what I've learned in life, that those disappointments, that D, the 5 Ds I was telling you about off the air, the 5 Ds for success, that D of disappointment, feel the disappointment. It's okay to feel the disappointment, but don't let it stay in you.
Yeah.
It doesn't serve you anymore. There's a better path.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And a lot of times it's like, if you look at what happened from your fear, like nothing really bad ends up actually happening. Like you said, it kind of helps lead you as that water droplet towards whatever your purpose is. Like for me, for example, when it comes to fear, you had mentioned you found yourself on the radio after a fearful thing had happened to you.
Yeah.
For me, honestly, being on camera and having a cooking show is one of the most terrifying things I can think for myself to do.
I get it.
And that's one of the reasons I'm doing it. I think it's so important to kind of like, if you see, a lot of times fear is resisting one of the best opportunities you could possibly have of your life. Mm-hmm. Like as a creative, a lot of times we talk about this word resistance. What is resistance? I think of resistance as being afraid to go head on into the thing that can provide the greatest opportunity for you to grow and change, and being afraid of failing at that. But if you fail at that attempt, you're just right back where you started. You know,
But
so
you can look at it as failure, or you can look at it as a growth opportunity. So
exactly,
I am an
yes.
acronym queen. Most of my articles, I would say 90% of my articles have an acronym.
Really?
And I created
That's
an
super
acronym.
helpful.
Yeah, I created an acronym. This article that's going to be released soon, I didn't do an acronym, but I did the 5 Ds for success.
Okay. Okay.
So I didn't want to do an acronym for that. But the acronym that I have developed for fear.
Uh-huh.
So fear, nothing good comes from fear.
Uh-huh.
And that's how people end up in chemotherapy, or that's how people end up making decisions that they are not going to be happy with in the future. Anything that is based from fear, you're not looking at the other side of fear. You're not looking at what else is available. What is the opportunity? So my acronym is F is follow, E is every, A is avenue, R required. Follow every avenue required to achieve the life that you desire. That is so important to me. It's what's helped me. If I find myself, I'm in fear and I'm paralyzed, then I say, okay, what do I need to do to follow what I want? Follow every avenue required that I want to live this life. This is what I want. You have a vision that is incredible. It is incredible. As long as we stay focused on our vision and we keep our vision pure, and you follow that yellow brick road that gets you to that Oz, and even Oz was a fraud. Even Oz was a fraud. So how you deal with all the disappointments, all the things that are happening in your life, just keep taking that step. And there's a movie that's called I Bought a Zoo, and it has the best line that that follows this fear, and it is, all you need is 20 seconds of courage to take the first step. I've got 20 seconds of courage. Do you?
Oh yeah, that is amazing. 20 seconds of courage to take the first step, I think,
that's it,
is one of the hardest things for some people, but it's the easiest thing once it happens. A really mild example of that, because I feel like I practice this 20 seconds of courage in my life a lot, is
no, you have to.
In a very like minor way. It's like when you want to commit to doing something, like let's say you want to commit to waking up in the morning, first time your alarm goes off, right? But you have a habit, you're always pressing.
Oh my God, write it down. Write it down.
You can count on me. I'll be right here waiting for you.
We'll reintroduce, okay?
Yes.
You can text Lillian McDermott or leave her
I'm loving this conversation. Are you?
373-5959.
Yes.
Once again, here's Lillian.
Welcome back to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show, where you can hear us worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. I am your host, Lillian McDermott, although there's been a takeover. Mario Fabbri has taken over the show, and I've willingly allowed it. This show is called Trying Vegan and Growing with Mario Fabbri, because this is what this show is about. It's about growth. It's about taking opportunities, and instead of focusing on what you don't have and the mistake that I believe there are no such thing as mistakes. Yes, we do things that hurt people, and for that we take ownership of and we make right. But there's so many gifts and lessons to be learned along the way. And I call that an opportunity. And it's an opportunity for us to grow together and say, hey, I went through your journey. This is what I'm doing with Mario. Mario, I've gone through trying all these different things, and this is where I'm at today. You can take what you're doing and continue doing what you're doing, or you can reinvent the wheel, or you can create something different. Like I said, you can try to create a wheel, or you can reinvent the wheel by learning from other people's choices that they've made, decisions, opportunities that they've made. That's what this show is about. And if you want to continue to grow with us, go to whenyouneedafriend.com. Please subscribe. When you subscribe, you will get all sorts of free gifts, and you will have an opportunity to reconnect with your spirit, because one of the gifts I give you is the ebook that I wrote called 90-Day Challenge to Self-Love ebook. And along the way, when you do this, the show, when you subscribe to not just whenyouneedafriend.com, but there are a lot of little buttons at whenyouneedafriend.com. And when you click the YouTube button, and subscribe there, the YouTube video, and then you'll get the on and off the air conversations as well. While you're there, click on my social media buttons, follow me there, and also check the button for my sponsors. Without my sponsors, the show would not happen. So I want to encourage you to check out all my sponsors and figure out a different way that you can support them as they are supporting the show. And if you want to listen on podcast, I'm on almost all of them: iTunes, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Spotify, again, YouTube. And you can listen now on TuneIn Live. It's a live stream through TuneIn, and then I think that there also, you can get the podcast there as well. But the only videos are on YouTube, and if you follow me on social media, you'll get that too. You can always call me and text me, because I want to hear if you want to join us in the Heal Tribe. The first coast is September 19th. The Space Coast is tonight, September 11th. And then tomorrow is the pampering day for all of us in Brevard County, the Space Coast. If you want to join us, we're going to learn how to wear body products that are toxic free and organics. Keep Me Safe Organics. We're going to have a pampering night. Men, women, come and feel what these products can do. We lock up our toxin chemicals, but then we put lotion on our body that has chemicals that will destroy our reproductive system and will destroy other things in our body. So come join us. If you want to be a part of it, Keep Me Safe Organics is we're going to be doing a facial and foot soak, and call me at 407-373-5959. That's in Rockledge, Florida. So get all your friends, but you've got to RSVP, because we need to know to save a place for you. Now, today, I am growing with Mario. Mario's growing with me. We are growing with each other. And I am so grateful to you, Mario, that you're in my yellow brick road now.
Yes. Thank you for letting me take over your show. And I see a lot of parallels and similarities between our shows. You know, I'm getting a lot of inspiration from the things that you're doing. On my cooking show, I like to invite expert vegan chefs and nutritionists to teach me the best tips and techniques for eating healthier and more plant-based and living a better, more fulfilling life. And you invite a lot of experts on your show who are teaching you very similar things and ways to live their best lives. So I'm wondering, I'm trying to, let's share information. Let's share this.
I want to add, for those of you who want to learn more about Mario, you can go to tryingveganwithmario.com, and you can learn a new truth with him too. So there's a lot of truths out there that we can latch onto. So what's your next question, my dear?
So my next question for you is, what is something that you've learned from all the guests on your show that is something that is a marker for success? What is something that all these people who have created an incredible impact on the world, what is something that they share in common? I'm trying to figure out, like, how can we get to that next level and be like the people who are our role models? How can we live incredible lives? And what have you learned from some people who have lived incredible lives?
Well, there's so much. That's a loaded question. I love all your questions, Mario. By the way, Mario, how old are you?
I am 26.
26! Isn't this hopeful for the millennials? This is a wonderful
We
thing.
need a help, Lillian. We need your help, okay?
I want to be a friend of the millennials. I am a friend of the millennials. So I was sharing with you that my latest articles is called The 5 Ds for Success. So how interesting that you would ask me this question. Perfect. So, but honestly, on a side note and on a personal note, for me, it's finding my truth, finding my voice, finding who I am. And that only happens when you go through and you truly dissect who you are and how others perceive you. And by the way, it's none of my business of what people think of me, but it is important that I am kind and gentle. And if I am perceived because I was being mean-spirited, not intentionally, or maybe intentionally, because I have that in me, I can do that. It's how my family, I was taught how to, if you hurt me, to hurt you harder. That's how I grew up. I grew up in a home that if your opinion was different, you were made to feel wrong. And I've shared this before, and I love my family, but I cannot let my family define who I am. I can't let others define who I am. So I needed to define what I wanted and who I wanted to be and who I wanted to surround me too. Because the people that I want to surround me reflect who I am. Think about that.
Yeah, no, that's true. I've heard you're a combination of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
That's it. That's it. So I had mentioned that the article that I'm writing is called The 5 Ds for Success. And I hope I do a justice here. So the first one, because, you know, I write and it just pours out of me. And sometimes I go back and I read this and I go, did I write this? Who did this? Who wrote this?
You inspire yourself all over again.
No, you know, it's not. It's I can't take credit for it in a way because I just allow it. And I did that with my singing for many years, you know, and when I sing, you know, and people would give me a compliment, or I would give my creator the acknowledgement. I could not take ownership of it. And it was there was a reason for it, because if I hit a sour note, I'm also going to blame the creator. So I had to make sure that I didn't take credit for anything. And it just, that mentality has protected me and it's shielded me. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't get hurt by people. Absolutely. And it doesn't mean that I have this bulletproof vest that is impenetrable, because it's not. I am human. I have feelings. I have those 70,000 thoughts. I have that predisposition to have 80% negative thoughts, but I choose to change things around, right? So the Ds, the 5 Ds that I've discovered, that I've seen in many people, whether they're millionaires or they're successful people, the people that thrive on my show, first, they have a dream. That's the first D. And the second D is they have drive. They have desire. That's the third D. I think I'm going to create a 5th or 6th D. The 4th D is disappointment. How do I deal with disappointments? How do I achieve? How do I write? How do I create a plan? And when that plan doesn't work out, how do I deal with disappointment? And then the 5th D is difference. How do I want to make a difference in life? And so that 5th D is what we're doing today and what I do every day on the show, which is I give up all the love and knowledge that I have acquired, because I had shared with you that I was not raised to be a teacher or an educator, or I was not raised to go to school, to go to college. I was raised to be a mom. And I hold that job as the highest job that I've ever held in my life. And now as a grandma, as a Mimi, I love it even more. But here's the deal. If we hoard the information that we've learned, what good is it? What good is that?
Nothing.
So that's right. So what I do is I give back, and I learn and I give. And that's how I've educated myself in many ways. What about you, Mario? What do you think of that? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That makes complete sense. I think one of the best ways to internalize some of the things that we are learning is also by living. You know, we soak up and we learn a ton from the people that are experts. You know, they're role models. They're people that live extraordinary lives that we look up to. But I think one of the most important things that I'm hearing from you also is we have to learn what's unique to ourselves and how can we internalize other people's lessons, but also figure out that success for somebody else is different for ourselves, and our journey is different from somebody else's. So How do we learn from the experts, but then also learn from ourselves and apply a collaboration and grow through all those experiences? That
is called abundance. And when we live an abundant life, then there's enough for everybody. But if you focus on lack, then you hoard. And we're going to continue our conversation with Mario Fabbri when we return worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. We'll be right here waiting for you.
Yes.
Yes. I tell you what, this is great. I love having this conversation with you, Mario, especially with a 26-year-old. I don't want to focus on the fact that you're 26 years old. But I want for people to see that at 26, I was the same way, Mario. I was the same way as a child. And as I was growing up, my age did not define my youth. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a maturity thing. There's a difference between a number and your presence.
But I'm immature. I love being so let me show you.
I don't know what it is. Yeah.
So let me show you.
Definitely have a great degree of immaturity that I think makes this fun.
So when I went back to become to work on myself, Mario, always, this is my pearls to you, always grow, always learn, and learn not just about how to be rich and how to be successful financially, but also mind, body, spirit. That includes your health, your wisdom, and love, and giving love, as much love as you possibly can. So when I was going through my process, we went through, everybody had a pillar. Everybody had like you run to that person if you were having these thoughts. And so mine was this one.
Trust the process.
Trust the process. That was my pillar. Trust the process. And so this is the only thing I have that on my desk that's a plaque or anything like that. And I actually had to write it on Sharpie pen because my cleaning lady kept wiping it off, and I kept writing it off. And I think it was like an exercise, trust the process, trust the process 100 times. And so I finally put it in.
Trust the process of trusting the process.
Trust the process. That's right. That's right. And so when I was going through it, my coach, the first time I went as a participant, and then the next time I went through it to become a coach. So the first time that I went through it, there was the story of the 100-acre woods. I don't know if you know the story of Winnie the Pooh.
Oh yeah.
And Winnie the Pooh was like, always thinking, very serious, just forgotten to be a child. Mm-hmm. And so when I went through the process, because it was all about being responsible, and keep me honest, by the way, Brian, it was all about being, responsible and doing the right thing and having all those things. And then I just shifted, and then this was my little badge, my graduation present from my coach. And then when I graduated from the program, this is what she gave me. Tigger. Wonderful thing about Tigger. The wonderful thing of Tigger bounces and is full
he's
of
had
life.
So much fun.
He has fun. Tigger has fun. And so that is how we can become what we want. Focus on what you want. You don't have to be what you think that others want you to be. Be who you were created to be. Okay. Anyway, just a little things I have on my desk.
You can text Lillian McDermott or leave her a voicemail.
Okay, you can start this segment.
59.
You can go.
Once again, here's Lillian.
All right, we are back to the Lillian McDermott Show. I am not Lillian McDermott. I am Mario Fabbri, and I have taken over the show because I'm on a mission to learn from experts and people who have had years and years and years of experience digging deep and figuring out ways to live our best lives. And Lillian, I've listened to her show, and clearly a great example of that. So that's why I'm here. And I'm asking Lillian the questions today to figure out some pro tips and techniques for living our best lives. So one thing, I kind of want to take a little bit of a complete shift and throw you a curveball. And I'm wondering, your show has been about purpose. Your show has had a very strong theme. And I'm wondering, Lillian, what is something that you are interested in that maybe your viewers don't totally know about? Like me, I have my vegan cooking show, and I've kind of been the cooking guy for a while, but I'm over here and I'm actually wearing a Bill Nye t-shirt because I'm also a total space nerd. And I love outer space and I love science. So
and I live in Florida in the Space Coast. I live in Florida on the Space Coast. You need to come visit.
So what is maybe like a hobby or an activity or a passion that you have that maybe is a little bit different than what people would expect from you?
Okay, so lots of questions. So hobby. I love to dance.
Okay.
I don't know why, but God made me a dancer. I am a dancer. I love to dance. I love to have fun. I love to laugh. I wouldn't call it a hobby, but I would say that is, I love to pour myself out in the journals that I have. I've got hundreds of journals. So if my kids ever wanted to look through my journals, yikes, there's so many things that they could learn that maybe I did not share with them because I wanted to be the Winnie the Pooh that I was talking about, being the responsible, being the role model. But, sometimes you just got to be Tigger. Tigger's a wonderful thing, and of course, for those of you who want to watch the YouTube video, go to whenyouneedafriend.com where we talk about the roles of Winnie the Pooh and Tigger in my life. But I would say my purpose and my mission and what I want is I have a dream. That's part of my D. I have a dream.
Okay.
The dream is the McDermott Holistic Healing Foundation. I want to talk about the McDermott Holistic Healing Foundation.
Please.
So we see people that have accepted that cancer is a death sentence. But cancer, no one is chemotherapy deficient. No one. Because of the way we eat, because of the way we stress, those things can cause harm in our body. And through the journey that I've been on, Mario, I have seen how there is a change, there's a shift that people can heal naturally. I choose, when I first started this show, Mario, I am not the same person who started the show. My show is all going to be about compliance, what's the latest in the pharmaceutical industry, what pill to take. My registered service market, you can take a pill or you can take responsibility. It's not that I'm against the pill. I am for doing everything we can do to live a healthy, happy life. Now, the McDermott Holistic Healing Foundation is not going to celebrate pink. We're going to celebrate life. We're going to celebrate a whole mind, body, and spirit way of healing. 95% of disease is rooted in childhood traumas. And that's what they don't deal with. We don't want to deal with. We want to be successful financially, but we don't look at the mind, the body, the spirit that is needing those 5 Ds for success. And so we have started the McDermott Holistic Healing Foundation. And as you know, traditionally, the only treatments that you can have that insurance will pay for is chemotherapy, radiation, and surgery. So we're not given an option. We're not said, hey, you might be vitamin D deficient, or you might have Epstein-Barr syndrome, or you might have, this other condition that's keeping your body from healing. Instead, they kill every cell in your body. But here's the thing. Most people don't know that there's a test that you can take that will tell you if you're allergic to chemotherapy. If you are allergic to chemotherapy, chemotherapy will kill you, not cancer. So my mission, I started a foundation called the McDermott Holistic Healing Foundation. I need everybody's help to make this vision, take it and bring it to fruition. I want to be able to pay the foundation. The McDermott Holistic Healing Foundation wants to pay for people to go through alternative ways to heal, because what people don't know and what they will never be told is that it costs over $50,000 out-of-pocket expenses or more to treat yourself with chemotherapy, radiation, and surgery, because you have these 20% out-of-pocket expenses or whatever it is. But it's much cheaper to heal the spirit and the mind, because the body will heal naturally. Now, I'm not saying that in all cases we have to look at each individual, but if somebody has lung cancer and refuses to quit smoking, that is not someone I can help. But if you are willing to do whatever, I would do anything for health, and I will do that, then the McDermott Holistic Healing Foundation is trying to raise as much money. We need as many people to be a part of this foundation, to stop shaving heads and looking at people that are, and I'm not against anybody who chooses that. If that is the option that you are given, among other options too, and if you make that choice, good for you. But if you want to try that tumor, whatever it is that's brewing in the body has been there for years. What's 1 week? What's 1 month? You know, and what they'll tell you is you got a week to live, you know? So let's take you to chemotherapy, you know? So that's what happens. And so I want to change that. Can you tell that's my passion?
I feel that.
Oh my God.
I love that. And one thing that I think is super interesting from when I kind of read your bio and learned a little bit about your background is that you have a background in sales and marketing, right?
Yeah.
So what I think is super interesting is you mentioned the shave heads, you mentioned the color pink, and you mentioned a lot of things that are marketing and branding around cancer research.
Oh, yeah.
So I've always been very curious about this. Is how do you think that marketing and sales and branding plays a role into what we believe and accept as common knowledge throughout the United States that may not necessarily be true? And I'll give a quick example of that really quick. So if you take a nutrition label, right, and you see the nutrition facts on the back, it says fat and it says grams and percent daily fat. And if you go down to sugar, it'll say the grams, but it won't say the percent daily value of sugar. And that is entirely because of lobbying and because of companies like Coca-Cola, who they have a sugary drink. And if you look at that, it'll say 500% daily value. So that they were like, hey, we're not going to fund this research if you are going to put that on the label. So I'm wondering if you could talk to me a little bit about how you think sales and marketing plays a role into what we believe.
Huge. We believe, hey, listen, I talk about a new truth all the time. There was a time that they thought the earth was flat. And then someone came along and said, no, the earth is a sphere. And it took a while for people to accept and embrace that. But there's still people who believe the earth is flat. So here's the thing. And they're just as passionate as the people that believe that the earth is a sphere. So with that in mind, it is big money. Imagine the collapse of the medical industry, cancer industry, if they said, you know, vitamin C works just as good as chemotherapy in most cases. That's an option for you. Do you think people would choose to kill every cell of their body? It's a huge profit thing. And I will say just that for now, because I know I want to give you the honor. Thank you so much, Mario, for asking me these questions. And you were so sweet to say, is there anything that's off the market here? Is there anything? And I said, just bring it. Just don't ask about my sex life. That's So thank you. Anything that you would like to add before we go?
I just want to thank you so much for having me. And I wish we could keep talking for hours right now, because I feel like we're just really getting into the heart of some of my favorite questions. But thank you so much for guiding real information and asking good questions to incredible guests and having me on this show and allowing me to share a little bit of my story as well.
Thank you. Thank you, Mario. That's not the end of the story. You're going to keep sharing some more. And for those of you, you can go to tryingveganwithmario.com. And remember, we have choices. Thank you, Mario, for sharing these choices for the millennials, for the people to know that there are options. And then when we know a new truth, we can make informed choices. So thank you so much. I'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. This is Lillian McDermott wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever. Yay.
Yes.
Great job, Mario.
Thank you.
Yeah. Doesn't the hour go fast?
That goes so fast. That was too fast.
How long do you record? Now I get to ask you some questions.
Yeah.
How long do you record before you can get, so your shows are how long?
They're 19-minute episodes.
19-minute episodes.
Yep.
So how long does it take you to record that 19-minute episode on Roku?
So I will say it's gotten a lot better because before it would take a long time. It would take me at least an entire day to get one episode down. But now I have a new prep system where I have all the ingredients prepped in a way that's way more efficient. And I've become a better master of the recipes. I've gotten more comfortable on camera. So we could usually film an entire episode in like less than 3 hours, whereas it used to take like 8 or 9 hours.
Wow.
So,
19. See, that's what people don't see. You make it look so easy because of all the work. I have a 5-minute video and I think it's my coaching page. I think that's what it is, or maybe it's the 100% responsibility page. I can't remember what it is. And that 5 minutes took probably a month to record. Seriously, Mario, the moment I would look into the camera, I would go, who am I? What's my name? What do I want to say? And I finally said, I cannot work with I'm not going to work with a script. I have to work from my heart. I cannot work from a script. And I also had to battle my demons. Just when you think that you have conquered your enoughness, you know, I am enough. And then somebody puts a camera on you and you're like, why am I having this I am not enough conversation? What is it about that camera? And I remember chopping some vegetables and I was just like going at those vegetables because I had to take a break. It's like, I can do, you know, it's like the moment I look into the camera, I'm like, who am I? What am I doing here? What, was that the same for you?
Yeah, no, the first couple times I was on camera, I would freeze, feel super uncomfortable. I would did a few practice ones where my roommate was filming. I had to ask him to get out of the room. I was like,
I know, right?
Yeah, it was super uncomfortable at first, but then you just stop caring. You kind of have to just let go of expectations and just accept and embrace and be like, I'm in this position. I'm going to do the best that I can. And eventually, if you could let go and maybe, you know, pretend like you're talking to your best friend or something like that, put a visual twist on things, it becomes a lot easier.
Yeah.
And I will say that to a lot of people, anyone who's like afraid of doing something like that, of getting on camera or getting on radio or something like that. It's scary, I think, for everyone.
Yeah.
So if you're afraid, it doesn't mean you don't have incredible potential to be incredible and use it as a tool to share your information.
Yeah. And let me say something. Because of the way I grew up, I always grew up feeling like the ugly stepchild, you know?
Really?
Yeah. Everybody else was better than me, you know, and I don't know if that's what I don't know if that's was intentional, but that's what I made up about it.
Okay.
So there's other stories that lead to, you know, like, you know, my grandmother, my second grade teacher calling on me. And I share that story. My second grade teacher, I write about it too. And I didn't discover that little second grader was still in me until I started doing some personal growth. But my second grade teacher called on me. Everybody was in alphabetical order. Everybody was reading. And then when he called on me, I had just moved to Puerto Rico. I didn't know the language very well. And my father and my mother wanted me to learn Spanish. All of us. I'm one of 5 kids. Maybe that explains why I felt so like I was like the wallflower. Look at me. Don't look at me. Don't look at me. And so very, very shy. I don't know if you're shy as well, but I'm very, very shy. People don't know that about me and I hate it. So I work hard.
This dancer attitude.
I am a dancer. Yes. And so he told me when he called on me, I had no idea where we were. And I was looking out the window, daydreaming. I'm a daydreamer. And everybody laughed when I was like stuttering. And for many years, I couldn't read out loud. Because that moment would come back.
Was it because of that one experience, you think?
I know now it was because of that experience. And I remember Mr. Torres, the only name I remember for sure of all my teachers is Mr. Torres. I can remember fungus on his nails. I can remember he was a short, rotund man. And he just looked at me with such looking down, and I was only 7, and he went, Lily, 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 if you keep looking out the window and dreaming like you do, you will never amount to much. And so that was my first marker that I wasn't enough. And then the second one was when I was about 10, and they say that the first 7 years of your life that you are a human tape recorder, and those recordings become your subconscious mind. Those are part of the 70,000 thoughts that you have in your brain. And so because of this reading experience, my mom took my sister and I to play the piano, and I had this thing about reading. And so my sister she was such a great pianist, and she would just play, and then I would take my music home and I'd ask my sister to play the piano, and then I'd hear it, and then I'd go back and I'd play it the following week, like the teacher would play, and then I'd watch my sister play it, and then I would go back and I would play the piano to my teacher until I got to be advanced enough to do some sight reading. And when I did the sight reading, she realized I didn't know how to read music. So all this time, I did not know how to read music. I was just bluffing. And today I don't know how to read music, but I can, I sing by heart. I can hear the music. Something happens with me, and I become part of the music. I don't know what it is. And so my grandmother, who was my paternal grandmother that I had only seen a handful of times, she was a strong educator. She was a teacher and very, very strict. And when my piano teacher was learning that I did not know how to read, she would bang my fingers on the piano and she'd get really frustrated, and I would go crying home all the way home. I don't want to do this. I don't want to go back to school. I don't want to go back to practicing the piano. And so then my grandmother, who was very scarce on my family, this is my paternal one, she came to visit, and apparently, our family's form of entertainment was us playing and singing or whatever it is we would entertain our guests. Mm-hmm. And so my grandmother must have found out through somebody, I don't know, that I was going to quit playing the piano. So my grandmother came to me before she left that day. I was about 10, maybe 9, 10 years old. And she said, Lily, I heard that you're going to stop learning how to play the piano. And I went, yes, abuela, I don't want to. I don't like it. And she said, well, Lily, if you stop learning how to play the piano, I'll stop loving you.
What?
Yeah.
Was that supposed to be
motivation?
Positive?
Motivation. Mr. Torres and my grandmother were trying to motivate me. Their intention was good. Their delivery
was
horrible.
Oh my God.
So I took that never amount to much, unlovable girl to everything I did. So we have to, that's why it's so important to go in and dig deep. I call it a soul shovel. Uh-huh. It's my new registered. It's a service mark right now, or it's a service mark. But dig until there's only truth. Discovering that made a huge difference in my life. So I want to encourage you, maybe the next time, to go back and think, when was the first time you felt you weren't enough? Not enoughness. I guess that's the word I want to say. If you go back and you think, when was the first time I felt that? If you go back, you probably will go back to when you were 3, 5, 7. For me, it was 9 as well. Go back, do that little exercise.
I can feel it right now. I can think of an exact moment.
You want to share? I don't want to put you on the spot.
I don't want to share right now.
Okay, nope, let's not share. Okay.
But I could totally think back to how important that one moment was, and how to this day I still fight that feeling regularly. Because I almost had an opposite upbringing in a lot of ways. I went to a very small school where there were very few boys. So kids were very competitive. There wasn't a lot of competition per se. And I was athletically gifted. So I had a very fortunate upbringing. I was the best player on all the sports teams. I was getting really good grades. I had this big, almost too much hype. I was given too much support for a long time.
Which is very common from us, our generation, because maybe we didn't have enoughness in us, and we want to pass on this next generation. Yeah. Oh, you're the best. Everybody deserves a trophy. Everybody's so good.
Yes. And that served me so well. But then when I got to public school, high school, this new reality hit where I met a bunch of people who weren't necessarily, because I went to a Catholic school, very small for a long time. Mm-hmm. Then public school, I got hit with this new reality of people who weren't necessarily raised with the same moral compass as I was, and maybe, had this bully mentality, and I got banged up really quick. I was and I kind of deserved it, because I kind of was, a little bit cocky and overconfident, because I went from being the best player on all the sports teams to fitting in and competing and finding my role. So it was a hard transition at first. And then there were a few moments that hit me early on in high school that I will never forget, to be those moments where I went from the most confident person you could ever imagine to the most insecure, terrified person I've ever been. And
that's
it
Piglet.
literally happened in a moment.
Yeah, that's Piglet. Check out Piglet. Piglet.
Well,
Oh, I'm so fearful. Yeah. Okay, so here's the thing, because we're on the air, and we're gonna continue our conversation off the air if you want. And this is what I want to challenge everybody. I acknowledge you. I think it's wonderful that you've shared that. But here's the deal. As you discover that, what a great gift came from that you learn not to be so arrogant, right?
Yes.
But then there's that other side that, just like I was coaching somebody who was going to law school, and she shared the story on the air, so I don't feel like I'm breaking confidentiality. Mm-hmm. And there were probably, she was having a very hard time her first year. She is a lawyer today, mm-hmm. but she was having a really hard time with this one person. And it was just, and we did a show on it. It was like, this one person, and it just like, we talked about her. And then I finally asked the question, well, how many people like you in your class? How many other people are there in the class? And she said there were like 27. And I went, out of 27 likes, you're focusing, we just spent all this time on the one person that does not like you. Let's talk about the gifts, the lessons from that. And so with you, arrogance serves us at times. Uh-huh. But arrogance, everybody's strengths can be our weakness too.
Yeah.
If used to overpower, because I'm empathic, mm-hmm. but I know, because I grew up in my family, uh-huh. how to use it against you. Wow. I know everybody's weaknesses. Yeah. I can tell. But I can seriously, I know that I have that gift, but I can use that gift for good, or I can use it to cause devastation. Yeah. So I use my gift, and I had to shift that. I had to learn how to shift and see the good and hone in those skills. So arrogance, good thing to get rid of,
Absolutely. Oh yeah.
Having self-esteem is different than arrogance.
Yep.
It's important to have self-esteem.
Yep.
But going back, it is none of my business what people think of me. Uh-huh. The people that don't matter, if they don't like me, that's okay. Now, if I cause them pain, I want to know about it. Mm-hmm. But if they just don't like me because they're a hater, uh-huh. use it for fuel. Because people like that don't understand, but love them anyway. You be you anyway. Because through going through that, if you give in to the haters, then you'll take your light and you put it under the bushel, mm-hmm. right? That's a scripture. Put the light under the bushel.
Yeah. I remember the song from church.
That's right.
This little light of mine.
Yeah, that's right. And if you take that light and you put it on top of the bushel, you become a lighthouse.
Yeah.
And look at what a lighthouse does. It shines the light for all to find their way. Mm-hmm. That's why I said to you at the beginning, before we were off the air, make sure you use your intention for good. And when you keep that pure intention, and that's what, maybe I'm your barometer, because I need barometers too.
Yeah.
Then, what can't you do? If you have a speck of sand of your creator, because we believe that our creator is everywhere, right? Mm-hmm. If you had a speck of that, you can do all things. Like God can do all things. And if you have a speck of that, what can't you do? So use that light to shine bright, not to expose other people's weaknesses. Mm-hmm. Identify it, mm-hmm. and then grow.
Yes.
Forgive and grow. You don't forgive and forget, because forgetting is like dementia. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. You've got to remember, but remember it for fuel, for passion, for drive, for determination.
So how do you do these things? Because And in general, I'm just curious, like, and if we could get into this a little bit, because I know that you do. Do you got to go?
Yeah, I do have another interview that I'm doing back
Okay.
to back, but go ahead. Let's.
I'm just wondering how you could coach somebody, or what's a practical step that I could take towards bettering myself through some of the techniques that you've applied to your life and helped other people with. Is it like go to a retreat and somebody's going to ask you the right questions to lead you to certain places, or is there something I could do at home?
Yeah,
to help with this?
I'm a coach. I'm a certified
Okay.
coach. That's part of what I do. I have a 100% responsibility page that teaches you how to take ownership of your life.
Okay.
So that's a good place to start.
Okay.
If there's a financial, my show is free for people to do all these things for themselves. But when I went to my personal growth retreat and later became a coach from that,
Uh-huh.
I was shot out of a cannon.
Okay.
I was shot out of
Physically?
a cannon.
Like
Because I
literally?
really got to see myself, because it's really easy to look at everybody's faults and flaws and see what they need to do. And you can have a prescription for everybody else. And I'm really good at that too. But to turn that vision inward and use it on yourself is magical.
Wow.
It's magical. So we could talk that a little bit more off the air, but for now, Mario, we have given so much food for thought. Your questions were awesome. I love your show. I think the world of you, and I think that we have just become a team. How about that?
Yeah. Teal.
Yeah,
We
because
are a team.
because I alone am just one, but the two of us together are an overwhelming majority.
Yes. I'm happy to be a part of your team, Lillian.
I'm happy to be part of your team.
This is a power team. This is good.
Let's see. We're the power couple. So we're in the purest sense, when we bring like-mindedness together, and I'm talking about the like-mindedness that builds, creates win-win. I grew up in a family that it was win-lose. Someone had to win and someone had to lose. And talk about marketing.
Yeah.
Think about the NFL and Super Bowl Sunday. Do you remember who won last year, by the way?
Oh my God, you just threw me out of blank. I know that the Patriots lost to the Eagles.
Okay. Did they really? Who got paid?
Everyone.
Everybody got paid, right?
Yep.
And all of the people that were selling merchandise, who won there?
Everyone.
What about the station? Who won there?
It's one of the biggest money-making industries in the country.
What about us?
They're doing everything they can to save all this money that they're losing because things are kind of changing.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Even we who were, we're this and I had my Patriot attire and I had all the stuff that, and it's like, your team sucks, this team stinks, that we're the best. Who created that? We all won. Everybody got paid. Everybody got a ring. Everybody enjoyed themselves. But yet there are people that walk out angry, ready to kill somebody. That's not real. That is what marketing creates. That's what, when you talk about the cancer industry, oh my gosh, Mario, if you can find me some sponsors to become part of the McDermott Holistic Healing Foundation. We're looking for everybody to be a part of this foundation. I want to be greater than Susan G. Komen. That foundation that that is all about, and when you look at how much of the money they collect goes to themselves as opposed to what is giving out. It's like Goodwill. Goodwill doesn't give anything to anyone. They just take,
Really?
If you look at these foundations that are collecting all this money, where is it going? Think about it.
Yeah.
Susan G. Komen, if you look at how much the CEO makes, do you look at, and I just don't, maybe I shouldn't be talking, and hey, if you want to give to Susan G. Komen, that's great. I love what they were doing. I love what they represent. Until I discovered a new truth. The new truth is that none of us are chemotherapy deficient. None of us.
Wow.
And that there are alternative ways to heal. And I've seen it with my own eyes, and it is expensive, but not as expensive as giving up, chemotherapy, this cancer industry that is billions of dollars that would collapse. I mean, think about hospitals and centers and oncology.
Oh my God, the world would change in a second.
Too big to fail.
Yeah,
too
exactly.
big to fail, right?
I always wonder that, like, too big to fail is such a good point. It's like, with all these big companies, like, what would happen if we lost them? And a lot of people are afraid of all the jobs that we lose, but something has to change. Like, there might be a moment where we have to take a step backwards before we could take 2 steps forward. And it might be a giant leap backwards before a massive leap forward. So yeah, to disrupt what people are doing in cancer would be exactly one of those things where, maybe it's gone too far in the wrong direction, and we do need to rework the way that we're approaching helping people with cancer. And it might disrupt a lot of people's jobs, but in the long term, we should be focused on what's actually the right thing to do.
Absolutely. And Mario, at your age of 26, you're so open. When I was your age, I was so closed. I knew the truth, and it was my truth and what I believe was truth. And I just want to acknowledge you 100-fold that stay with that. Stay with that curiosity. Don't let anyone steal that from you, and don't give it away, because it's so important that you know that someone in front of you knows more than you, but doesn't know everything. Maybe just knows one thing, maybe 2 things. You've got to follow your intuition. You've got to research. For every hour I do on the show, I research at least 3. Now, it used to be 2 until I got bumped in the head from the car accident I was in, and but now it's 3. But the reality is, we have to understand that everything has a shadow. Everything good has a shadow. And what I recommend for people, that before they choose chemotherapy, that they go and get this test done. And I'm going to do my next article is about this, so I'm not going to talk about it now. Excuse me. And I want people to find out, are they allergic to chemotherapy? Because if you are allergic to chemotherapy, chemotherapy will kill you. And here's the thing I want to leave you with, and that when people thrive on chemotherapy, that's great. That's great. That is, something that they're not allergic to. But do you know how many people die receiving chemotherapy, radiation, surgery? How many people are told that they're going to die in 5 days, a week, a month? Nobody knows that. But do you know how many people die of cancer? Probably more than the Holocaust took. But here's the thing. One person dies doing alternative treatment, and everybody makes a big deal about it.
Yeah, of course.
We've got to shift. Help me with that, Mario. Help me with that shift, because, and for you that are viewing, help me with that shift, because I'm not saying that alternative ways to heal is the end-all be-all cure, because there are people that use cancer to go, and maybe it is their time to go. But not everybody who goes. So many lives are taken too soon, because we've been from birth. The doctor is always right. And that's how my show started, Mario. Look at where I've come.
Yeah.
I question everything.
Wow.
I look for options. And then I make an informed choice. But I make the choice. I don't procrastinate the choice. I don't procrastinate. I used to be a huge procrastinator. I'm a reformed procrastinator-holic. So anyway.
I love that. Just one of the biggest takeaways that I've gotten from you, and from the last time we did a show together, I've become obsessed with research ever since the last time we talked. I spend so much more time doing the research. But something that I've learned is, a lot of times if we believe in something, we do research to prove our points. And on the world of the internet and research, you could always find a way to prove what you're trying to prove. There's always a way to do it, but you need to make sure that you are researching the opposite side and discovering both sides. Like, you started this show over here, but then we're willing to go the complete opposite direction if it was the truth, and willing to learn and figure out. I feel like that, I mean, I just want to thank you for setting that example, because that's something that I found out I wasn't doing initially and am doing so much better now. Because before I was like, plant-based food, healthy food, I've heard it's better. I've learned that it's better. These people are telling me that it's better. So I'm just going to keep Googling like reasons why veganism is good, you know, but I wasn't Googling, well, we talk about how cows are bad for the environment. You know, what about the plant growth industry? What about plant agriculture? You know, there's definitely some downfalls to that as well. I'm not saying one is perfect or the other, but I've made it my mission to also learn what can be improved and what are the downfalls of the position that I am trying to educate people that is a benefit as well. So both sides.
Absolutely. Mario, well done.
Thank you.
Whom much is given, much is expected.
Thank you.
And I'm not saying that I used my talents for bad at the beginning of my life, because I have an ability to see around corners before anybody does. That is a gift that I've received from my family, that empathic, and you have it too. And so, but you know, fruit doesn't fall that far from the tree unless the fruit decides that it wants to roll and create something new of themselves. Maybe roll, die, let that seed grow from the ground, and then create something new. We can create a choice. You know, identical twins from alcoholic parents. One chooses to drink, the other one chooses not to drink. Both have the same reason. The one who chooses to drink or feels, well, how could I not drink? Look at the example I had. And the one who chooses not to drink says, how could I drink? Look at the example I had.
Oh my God.
It's the same thing. Just look at it in a different way. And with that, I want to say thank you.
Thank you. I just got chills. I'm like, oh.
Just love you.
Yes.
And thank you, my viewing friends, for watching today. There'll be more with Mario, I assure you.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh.